She thought moving to Atlanta would give her peace, but her past wasn't done with her yet. Custody battles, public drama, and a fight for her children. This is the story of a woman who refused to be broken. Atlanta was a furnace of life, sticky, vibrant, and buzzing with stories that collided like fireworks. Into that heat stepped Melody, suitcase in hand, children at her side, looking every bit the polished, magazine-ready image. Yet beneath the crisp lines of her outfits, there lingered the invisible weight of Huntsville clinging to her. This wasn't just relocation, it was a bold statement, a declaration of freedom. Huntsville had become a cage, a constant reminder of Martell. The messy collapse of their marriage, court battles, accusations, and the relentless public scrutiny. She was done. Atlanta represented a fresh a chance to breathe, to rebuild a life for herself and her children, far from the toxic shadow Martell refused to lift. She imagined the ordinary joys she had been denied: school drop-offs, PTA meetings, a thriving business, maybe even love again. A life where the next disaster didn't loom at every turn. The new house, a bright suburban haven, was supposed to be their sanctuary. Her children's excitement was infectious, wide-eyed and ready to embrace adventure, while Melody felt a mixture of hope and fatigue. It wouldn't be simple, but she was determined to make it work. Yet messy breakups, especially ones tangled with fame, don't vanish with a change of scenery. The past sticks like stubborn gum under a shoe. And Martell, he wasn't about to release his grip quietly. While Melody unpacked boxes and built routines, Martell brooded back in Huntsville, unable to accept that she had truly left. Atlanta was more than a city to him. It was a symbol of rejection, a direct affront to his ego. Behind the bravado and snide remarks to friends, there was loneliness, fear of obsolescence. A man whose identity had been intertwined with being Martell Holt, successful, powerful, the picture of a family man. Now Melody had taken that narrative and rewritten it without him, leaving him scrambling. He saw her departure as a challenge, a gauntlet thrown. He wasn't ready to let her find peace. The media, once his ally, now felt like a harsh spotlight exposing every flaw. Pride clashed with pain, and that was dangerous. Melody's pursuit of calm was about to face turbulence. Then came the notification, a Lambcast update, a fleeting glimpse of Martell discussing custody as if it were sport. Melody felt the fragile calm she had nurtured shatter. Thousands of miles away, he could still reach her, disrupt her life, unsettle her hard-won equilibrium. She stared at the screen, blood simmering, whispering, "This has to end." But how do you silence someone, fueled by attention, who thrives on chaos? Atlanta, though, wasn't just about escaping Martell. It was about rediscovering herself. Melody immersed herself in a new network of women who understood the pressure to be perfect, strong, omnipresent. Sabrina, a seasoned businesswoman with her own echoes of struggle, became both a mentor and a source of inspiration, a living testament that resilience and reinvention were possible. "You've got that spark," Sabrina had told her once. "Don't let anyone dim it." Those words nestled deep in Melody's heart, a quiet fuel for her determination. She wasn't trying to reclaim the life she had before Martell. She was building something new, a life entirely on her own terms. School drop-offs became small windows for connection, a chance to share laughs and solidarity with other moms. Neighborhood walks transformed into moments of reflection, a way to untangle her thoughts. Her children's laughter echoed through the house, filling spaces that had long felt hollow. And yet, Martell's shadow lingered, a ghost she couldn't quite shake. She saw him online, perfectly curated photos of a doting father, designed to feed the media frenzy. Every post was a twist of reality, painting her as the villain simply for moving forward. Then came the rumors, the media whispers about her potential showlove and legacy. Atlanta. The idea of turning her personal pain into entertainment felt almost cruel, even if producers promised empowerment. Martell, of course, threatened to counter with his narrative, proving he could never let her reclaim any spotlight without trying to contaminate it. This time, Melody refused to remain silent. She crafted a post with care, every word deliberate. Silence is respect. But when someone weaponizes your pain for publicity, you speak. "I took my life back for myself." The reaction was electric. #Team Melody trended within hours. Women shared stories of resilience, escape, and survival. Melody realized her journey had grown beyond her. It had become a beacon of hope, just as she began to breathe. The email arrived, a custody review hearing. Martell was coming not just for her peace, but for her children. Her hands trembled as she read the notice. Atlanta, her sanctuary, threatened to become a battlefield. She called Angela Mason, her lawyer, a sharp, unflinching strategist whose calm steadied Melody's nerves. He was never going to stay quiet. Angela said, matter-of-factly. I just wanted peace. Melody admitted, frustration tinging her voice. Why can't he just leave me alone? Some people crave control more than peace, Angela replied. To him, you're not just an ex-wife, you're a blow to his pride. April 25th arrived, and the Atlanta County Courthouse became a media circus. News vans lined the streets. Reporters shouted questions, and social media erupted in real time. Melody, holding her children's hands, walked with quiet dignity. Martell, flanked by his legal team, tried to project confidence, but his eyes betrayed the tension beneath the surface. Inside, Judge Turner presided with measured authority. Angela presented Melody as a stable, loving parent, providing a safe, supportive home in Atlanta. Martell's lawyer, David Crane, countered with accusations of alienation, insisting the children needed equal access to both parents. The judge listened carefully, demanding facts, not feelings. By the day's end, no ruling had been issued. Outside, cameras and microphones swarmed, but Melody remained silent. In that silence, she found her armor. That evening, Sabrina arrived with a warm presence and a glass of wine, a quiet reminder that Melody wasn't alone. Victory isn't always about the outcome, Melody confessed, lifting her glass. It's about the intention. She meant every word. Her goal had always been to protect her children, to gift them a life untainted by the chaos and toxicity that had shadowed their past. Meanwhile, Martell sensed the tide shifting. The public's admiration had faded, replaced by scrutiny and judgment. Video calls with his children reflected the pain he had caused, mirrored in their innocent eyes. He sent Melody a text. I didn't mean to hurt you. I just wanted the kids to be close to me. Melody read it, a flicker of something unreadable crossing her face. But she stayed silent. When mediation was suggested, Angela encouraged her to see it as an opportunity to avoid drawn-out conflict. Melody agreed. Sitting across from Martell at the table, she spoke with quiet authority. I just want the children to be at peace. If you love them, don't ruin their world. For the first time in years, conversation replaced yelling. Accusations gave way to acknowledgement, and shared responsibility as parents emerged. An agreement was reached. The children would primarily reside in Atlanta, and co-parenting would be their focus. The media hailed it as a triumph after the storm. But Melody knew the true victory was personal. It was freedom from fear, reclaiming her own life, and establishing a sense of peace that had eluded her for so long. Months passed, then a year, and Melody flourished. She built steady routines, launched a successful fashion line, and became a sought-after speaker. Local media crowned her the comeback queen. Her words resonated with women across Atlanta, emphasizing inner strength, resilience, and the power of choice. Her Rebo Project K, a program supporting women recovering from adversity, gained national recognition, inspiring audiences in schools, universities, and women's forums. Martell had slowly receded into a quieter existence. The bravado and bluster that once defined him replaced by a quieter, more introspective rhythm. Video calls with his children became his tether to the family he had once controlled through ego and media manipulation. Each call was a lesson in humility and unspoken confrontation with the consequences of past choices. He could see the subtle ways his absence and past behaviors had shaped them, the hesitation in their voices, the longing for reassurance, the quiet questions that hung between his words and theirs. It was a humbling experience, forcing him to grapple with emotions he had long avoided. Guilt, regret, and longing became daily companions. And for the first time, Martell understood the depth of the damage his actions had causated just to Melody, but to the innocent hearts of their children. One evening, after a particularly reflective call, he sent Melody a message. The words were measured, carefully chosen, tinged with a vulnerability he rarely allowed himself to show. I understand now the importance of respect and peace. I hope we can create that for the kids and for ourselves. Melody read it slowly, feeling a mixture of lingering wariness and the faintest flicker of hope. She typed back, her fingers steady. Thank you. I pray you find your own world of peace too. That simple exchange held more weight than any courtroom victory or public statement could. It marked a turning point, a mutual, silent acknowledgement that their battles with each other were secondary to the well-being of their children. There was no applause, no media headlines, no lingering bitterness, just a quiet, mature understanding, like two storm-tossed sailors finally finding calm waters. Meanwhile, life for Melody and her children blossomed in ways she had longed for but hadn't dared to imagine during the tumult of her divorce. Her daughter, sitting cross-legged on her bed with a well-worn diary open in her lap, wrote about bravery and resilience. "I want to be like Mommy," she scrawled, the words raw with admiration and quiet determination. Melody watched from the doorway, a lump in her throat, realizing that this was the ultimate victory. A childhood unshaped by fear. A life where love and curiosity, not tension and uncertainty, would define her children's days. Her son, too, thrived in this newfound stability, his laughter filling rooms that had once echoed with stress and tension. School days were no longer battlegrounds but adventures, and bedtime routines became moments of connection rather than negotiation. Melody marveled at the way her children adapted, absorbing the calm and confidence she modeled for them each day. Melody's own life began to take shape in parallel, expanding in directions that felt both exhilarating and purposeful. Her initiatives to empower women gained momentum. The Rebuild Project K, initially a small local support group, grew into a nationwide program offering resources, mentorship, and guidance for women recovering from toxic relationships or personal setbacks. She spoke at conferences and workshops, sharing her story with authenticity and vulnerability that resonated deeply with her audiences. "Courage isn't the absence of fear," she would tell women in packed auditoriums. "It's showing up anyway, even when fear is a constant companion." Interviews with CNN, Essence, and local publications amplified her message, allowing her to reach women across the country who were silently struggling, yearning for someone to show them that a life of independence, joy, and peace was possible. Her public persona as a figure of resilience did not overshadow her private dedication as a mother. Every morning began with a ritual: breakfast with her children, talking about school, their dreams, and the little victories that filled the day. Melody made it a point to attend school events, cheering from the sidelines, celebrating each accomplishment, big or small. She taught her children that strength wasn't about being invulnerable, was about acknowledging pain, taking control of one's narrative, and moving forward with integrity. These lessons were reinforced in the quiet moments: bedtime stories laced with moral lessons, walks through the neighborhood discussing empathy and courage, and afternoons spent creating art or music, encouraging self-expression without judgment. Even when Martell returned to reality television with Father Reclaimed, attempting to reclaim his image and influence in the public eye, Melody remained unfazed. The media buzzed with speculation and commentary, but she held to her mantra: "I don't repeat my past anymore, I just write my future." These words became more than a statement. They were a guiding principle, a lens through which she evaluated decisions, relationships, and opportunities. She recognized the temptation to engage in conflict, to counter every attack or narrative spun against her, but she deliberately chose restraint, understanding that true power lay in consistency.com and clarity of purpose. Her days became a tapestry of meaningful activity: mornings devoted to her children, afternoons to her business and advocacy projects, evenings to reflection and community engagement. She forged alliances with other women entrepreneurs, community leaders, and activists, building networks of support that reinforced her vision for societal change. Her fashion line, initially a personal venture born from a desire to create functional yet stylish clothing for mothers, became a symbol of empowerment, a brand that celebrated individuality, confidence, and resilience. Each design carried a message. Each campaign highlighted stories of women overcoming adversity. Her story reached classrooms and universities, inspiring young adults to redefine what resilience and courage looked like in contemporary society. Universities invited her for lectures and panels, where she spoke about navigating personal challenges, building a sustainable career, and finding one's voice in a world eager to impose judgment. Women's forums across the country featured her as a keynote speaker, her words echoing long after she left the stage. She emphasized the importance of choice, agency, and self-respect, advocating that women could reclaim their narratives, regardless of past mistakes or societal pressures. Martell, on the other hand, faced his own reckoning. His life had quieted in ways he hadn't anticipated, and the absence of public approval gnawed at him. Video calls with the children offered glimpses of joy and laughter, but also the undeniable truth of his past failures. He was learning, slowly, that presence alone was not enough. It had to be combined with respect, accountability, and humility. Melody's measured approach became a mirror, reflecting both what he had lost and what he might still achieve, not as a competitor in her life, but as a parent in theirs. Eventually, he sent messages of acknowledgement, tentative but sincere. Melody's responses were equally calm, rooted in clarity rather than resentment. Through this mutual, silent understanding, The children experienced a model of mature co-parenting, one where tension and hostility were not the default. As the years progressed, Melody continued to expand her initiatives. New programs were launched under Rebuild Project K, offering scholarships, mentorships, and networking opportunities to women nationwide. National media outlets featured her work, and social media amplified her story, making her a symbol of resilience, empowerment, and authentic leadership. Schools used her journey as a teaching tool, inspiring young girls to envision lives of independence, courage, and integrity. Community centers invited her to lead workshops, focusing not just on career skills, but on emotional intelligence and the importance of cultivating peace in one's personal life. At home, her children grew under her guidance, learning the value of kindness, bravery, and self-expression. They witnessed firsthand what it meant to reclaim one's life after adversity, seeing their mother transform challenges into opportunities and pain into purpose. Her daughter, now writing more frequently in her diary, reflected on lessons learned from her mother. Resilience isn't loud, it's persistent. Her son internalized the quiet power of empathy, observation, and self-confidence. Melody's home became a sanctuary, a living testament that peace, stability, and love could coexist with ambition and growth. The true victory, Melody realized, was not measured in headlines or public acclaim. It was in the moments of laughter shared with her children, the quiet satisfaction of helping other women rise, and the sense of control she had reclaimed over her own life. It was in knowing that fear no longer dictated her decisions, that her story had become a beacon for others navigating hardship. Through patience, resilience, and a steadfast commitment to self-belief, Melody had created a legacy not just for her children, but for countless women who saw themselves reflected in her journey. In every smile, every small victory, every woman she inspired, Melody witnessed the living proof that life could be rebuilt, stronger and brighter, even after immense hardship. Her mantra, "I don't repeat my past anymore, I just write my future," became not only a guiding principle for herself, but a rallying cry for others seeking hope, courage, and freedom. As she watched her children play beneath the warm Atlanta sun, she understood the full scope of her triumph. Real success was not wealth, fame, or recognition, but freedom from fear, the ability to create joy, and the courage to live life on one's own terms. Through struggle, Melody had not only survived, she had truly thrived. She watched her children play beneath the amber Atlanta sunset, their laughter ringing through the warm evening air, like music she hadn't realized she had been missing. The golden light caught their hair, their carefree movements, and for a moment, she simply allowed herself to breathe. Each swing, each spontaneous burst of giggles, reminded her of how far she had come. The shadows of fear, doubt, and past turmoil no longer loomed as they once had. They had been replaced by a tangible sense of calm, a rare and exquisite quiet that settled deep into her bones. Real triumph, she realized, wasn't measured in the applause of an audience or the accumulation of wealth and recognition. It wasn't about headlines or public validation. True victory was freedom, the ability to live unburdened by anxiety, to feel light in heart and spirit, to know that her children could explore the world safely and without hesitation. It was in the small things. The way her daughter's eyes sparkled with wonder as she climbed the monkey bars, the way her son insisted on showing her the tiniest details of his day, the peaceful rhythm of life that had once seemed unattainable. Through patience, faith, and unshakable self-belief, Melody had rebuilt not just her own life, but an enduring legacy. She had crafted a home and an environment where love, encouragement, and stability were the foundation. Beyond that, she had become a symbol of resilience for countless women who had felt trapped by circumstances, fear, or toxic relationships. Her story was proof that hardship could be transformed into empowerment, that a life once shattered could be reconstructed stronger, brighter, and more purposeful than before. Her struggle had never been solely against a former partner or the relentless scrutiny of media attention. It had been a battle against fear itself, the fear of failure, the fear of being diminished, the fear that the chaos of the past would define her future. In conquering that fear, she had gained something immeasurable, true freedom. And in that freedom, she found joy, clarity, and a profound sense of fulfillment, knowing that the path she had walked had created a ripple effect, inspiring courage and hope far beyond the boundaries of her own home.